Welcome back to the 5G Monetization Forum. Our next guest has 27 years of experience with T-Mobile, 7 of which are focused right on the in-building space. So it's great to have Luke Lucas, T-Mobile Senior Manager, here to discuss smart buildings and bring your own coverage with us.
Excellent. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Jeff. Thanks to RCR today for including me. My name is Luke Lucas, and I'm the Senior Manager of National Network. I'm based in Bellevue, Washington at T-Mobile, now headquarters number 1, post our merger with Sprint in 2020. I want to talk to you today about a couple of areas that we think are key to monetizing this 5G evolution. With that, let me give you just a quick background. My focus has been on real estate and in-building connectivity. Obviously, we think that it's key to building a foundation for monetization of 5G and the element of connectivity and coverage. Let's now go into some real estate discussion. Today, I think, how is the real estate landscape being changed? Today, employees are working still from home. Most companies are bringing them back. But when and where we get through the pandemic, we're going to have visitors, vendors, we're going to have tenants, we're going to have public safety, we're going to have real estate and asset valuation elements coming back into our purview. And you're going to need to have a connectivity element with that. So today we're going to talk about establishing a playbook for that and the process of doing that to create that value, to create that asset, to create your expanded real estate element. With that, we think that there's a couple of key elements here. First and foremost, don't look at this as adding an expense to your real estate. This is like maintenance and upgrade to your real estate. And with that, you've got to think of customer satisfaction. You've got to think of controlling the data element. You've got to think of future, but probably immediate cost savings. And you've got to make sure that if you're controlling your real estate, you want to make sure that with that satisfaction of the tenants, that it creates a level of enablement for them to do the next steps. Let's talk about a couple of risks and how to get there. So first and foremost, what are the risks of your business? In looking at 5G to your real estate, it is tenant satisfaction. It is value creation. It is looking for and capturing cost savings. So what does the future look like in this space? The future looks like a utility-like function. When I say utility-like function, we at T-Mobile believe, as well as other carriers, that water, sewer, gas, electricity are all utility services to your real estate. And of course, wireless connectivity should now be included. So you should actually have 5 utility-like functions on your real estate, making sure the tenant satisfaction is of the highest degree. And what we found now is that there is movement in this space away from third parties controlling the element of connectivity. The owner, the property operator, should be considering owning and controlling that element. We do it with all the other utilities, unlike wireless in the past, where someone else has stepped in to provide this connectivity on your property, with most likely the exception of Wi-Fi. Now let's start looking at that element with other technologies. So let me ask you this question. Do you have an active plan? We have plans for everything else in life, but do you have a wireless master plan? Where are the elements of that master plan? Let's start with 4 basic elements. If you know me, if you work with me at T-Mobile, you'll know me to say that you've got to upscale your power, no question about it. You have to make sure that you've got adequate conduit with pull strings, especially if you're remodeling, especially if it's a new project. And last but not least, pull plenty of fiber, pull plenty of Cat 6, because these are the enablement elements of any technology. We're talking about 5G today. We're talking about monetizing 5G for the value, the savings, the asset creation. These are all the elements that you need. So make sure that you're talking to your architect. Make sure you're talking to your builder. Make sure that this is an active discussion with your facilities people, because these are the elements necessary for technology. Let's talk about a couple of other things that you're going to need for that playbook. As you look to kind of figure out how you're going to create this value, you're going to need to have some key strategic partners. And those strategic partners, in our eyes, come in two elements. First and foremost, someone that you know or will know and will trust. That's your integrator. That could also be described as your original equipment manufacturer if they do a turnkey job, if they do a white glove assignment for technology. And we also see consultants in the space. So if you're a property operator today, that could be a tenant, that could be a real estate owner, a real estate developer, a property manager. You've got to have an active participatory partner. Secondarily, you need to have active engagements with all the carriers. Yes, I said all the carriers, not just one, not just two. At least in most markets in the United States, you're going to need 3. In the coming years, you most likely need 4. And in some markets, you might need a 4th if we include US Cellular. So make sure that your partner, your integrator, consultant, OEM partner, has active engagements, because you're going to need to speak to them, the carriers. You're going to have a roundtable of consultation in this space to know that you're on the cutting edge, that you remain on the cutting edge, and that your master plan is active and is the latest and greatest. Next, you're going to need to actively make a budget. Some people have budgets for Wi-Fi. Years ago, they didn't have budgets for Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi was a nuance to the marketplace, but over time, you now see that people have an active budget for Wi-Fi. So think of the Wi-Fi budget with your IT space. Think of your budget of technology with your office expense, and create a budget allocated for technology. If you don't, you won't be successful in monetizing the 5G element and the latest technology for your space, because you'll always be handicapped with budget challenges. And today, in today's marketplace, we know that there's challenges all around us, known and unknown. So make your budget known and establish that budget. Next, there are steps that you should do foundationally to make sure that your budget and your master plan are moving ahead. So first and foremost, a recap. What are you doing with a key partner and all the carriers at the table? Next, create goals and objectives for your dynamic, your business, your enterprise, your government, your space. Or if you're one of our 238 partners of T-Mobile Build Your Own Coverage, our nationwide in-building program, you are ones that are helping your clients turn their needs into goals and objectives. Once you have that, that then lays out the plan of which you can then budget, and obviously at some point in time realize that element of added value. Next, once you get on that road, you're going to want to have a successful road to make sure that you get your solution deployed. So again, to recap, we're going to budget, we're going to plan, you're going to make sure that you've got all your resources, and you're going to make sure that you've got that goal in mind. So build your plan and work your plan, but you've got to have a roadmap to that plan. And a wireless master plan is that map to your success. Next, as you put your plan together, start looking at the different areas of technology. We have a nuance in the marketplace in the last few years called CBRS. What I believe and what John Rudin said is the best gift to real estate from the federal government, because they allocated Spectrum. Now, if you're on the coast of the United States, it might be a little challenging. But if you're on the interior of the United States, CBRS might be something to consider. But you've got to look at that in conjunction with your Wi-Fi plan. And we hope that you'd be at Wi-Fi 6.0, the Wi-Fi pass point 6.0. And that evolution then would involve the ocean of cellular. And we think of cellular as the ocean. We think of Wi-Fi as the island and cellular as the ocean. So how are you expanding the capability of your real estate to touch all these technologies? And if so, how are you planning for effectively long-term on that evolution of your plan? Because today it might be Wi-Fi and cellular. Tomorrow it might actually involve CBRS. So think of these things while you're doing your planning. Is it a private LTE network? LTE is still running concurrently with 5G. So do you need 5G yet? And if not, should you be planning for 5G? All these elements are items of discussion that you should be having with your stakeholders, with your roundtable, with your strategic partners, including the carriers. And we suggest a pre-project review with us as you start to put together and formulate this plan. Let me now then come into closure to tell you that you've got a partner. You have a connection with someone at T-Mobile, and that's me. That's Luke Lucas. I can be your carrier partner. My team can be your carrier partner. Our national network of 5G now reaching 310 million people on our low band and 210 million people on our mid band. And selectively in certain areas, just like a large destination venue in Los Angeles by the LAX airport that just had a big Sunday promotion, we had millimeter wave active available. So with that, please take a look at our in-building website. That address is www.t-mobilebyOC.com altogether. And the illustration of that web page, the visual of it is to the right with the young lady looking at the plans. If you need to reach out to me, you can contact me on my email address posted here. And last but not least, please reach out and connect to me on LinkedIn. With this, Sean and Jeff, should we turn it over to Q&A?
Yeah, Luke, thank you very much for the presentation. I think we have time for at least one question. So maybe to start off here, when you're having these in-building coverage discussions with building owners or building managers, is the focus always on here's how you can leverage cellular for a tenant-facing amenity that will help you with attraction, retention, and maybe even increase your leasing rate? Or is there also consideration of back-of-house operations, building management systems, access control, security, things like that that could also benefit from that same cellular infrastructure?
Great question, Sean. And it actually is both. You want the tenant's customer experience to be perfected, but it also gives allowance to the back of office. Many systems now in buildings are tied to or could be tied with sensors, formerly known as machine to machine, but in today's world, we call it the Internet of Things. If you have a foundation of connectivity, starting with Wi-Fi, and we agree that Wi-Fi is going to be an element, cellular most likely is going to be the second element. Maybe you got the signal coming in from outdoors, but in most cases for business operations, Sean, you're going to probably want to have dedicated cellular signal on site. And yes, the back of house operations are probably going to be your savings. They're going to start your playbook with your goals and objectives to achieve efficiencies. So yes, it's a twofer.
And you also mentioned sort of that coverage paradigm where it's from outside in, which I assume to degrees T-Mobile can support with your 600 megahertz standalone 5G network. But there's been a good deal of discussion today around repeaters as an economical way to, get signal where it isn't.
Yes.
Do any of your customers, is that more of a SMB thing, or how are you seeing repeaters being used?
we think that the current repeaters today have technology, have advanced in technology, and they bring good value because, as you cited, we have been working diligently. We will continue for a couple of years working diligently on the outdoor network. And if there's a signal source outside, down your block, across the street from a macro cell site that simply could be repeated and brought indoors. Now, our band is the 2.5 megahertz, or excuse me, gigahertz that was inherited by Sprint. And that is our indoor 5G element. But we do see in some cases our outdoor low band, band 71, our 600 megahertz that you described, coming indoors. Our goal is to make sure that we can get signal everywhere possible. So if a repeater element is within your playbook as you create a wireless master plan for your real estate, you will find that several repeater partners are listed on our mid-prize section of our BYOC website. Wilson and Nextivity are listed side by side there, as well as the products from ADRF. Not to mention that there'll be probably other emerging products. So we do see it as a viable element of addition to creating a technology plan.
Well, great, Luke. I really appreciate you taking through this presentation with us, sharing your perspective, telling us the work T-Mobile's doing around bring your own coverage. So it's great to catch up with you, and thank you for joining our program.
It's great to be with you today. Jeff, Sean, thanks so much.
And for everyone in the audience, I'd encourage you to check out the interactive workshops we're about to run. That'll be followed by a lunch break, and the primary content stream will reconvene that at 1:10 p.m. Eastern. So thanks, everybody.